What if I told you that one of the most famous actors of the 1950s was purchased for just $3 from an animal shelter? Today, we're looking at the era when Hollywood moved away from the groomed show dogs of the early cinema and towards the scrappy, relatable underdogs found in local pounds. From the heartbreaking sacrifice of Old Yeller to the independent phenomenon of Benji and the terrifying thrills of Cujo, these are the dogs that define 4 decades of movie history. There's no TV shows allowed. Today's strictly for the silver screen legends. Let's dive into the golden age of the Hollywood shelter rescue. The 1950s marked a revolutionary shift in animal casting. Trainers like Frank Weatherwax realised that high-energy shelter dogs often had the perfect toy drive and lack of fear needed for complex roles. This philosophy gave us Spike, a yellow Mastiff Labrador mix rescued from the Van Nuys Animal Shelter. Spike's breakthrough came in the 1957 Disney classic, Old Yeller. When Spike first arrived at the studio, executives almost rejected him because he was just too much of a sweetheart, and he looked too goofy to play the fierce frontier protector. Weatherwax had to invest $20,000 over 4 years in intensive training to teach this gentle giant how to snarl and growl on cue. For the movie's devastating climax, Spike was conditioned to fake rabies symptoms, including aggressive lunging and foaming at the mouth. His performance was so convincing that Variety magazine praised it as the emotional anchor of the whole film. Spike became so popular that he starred in other films like A Dog of Flanders in 1960 and The Silent Call in 1961, before retiring to live out his days as a beloved member of the Weatherwax family. By the 1970s, the rescue to stardom paradigm reached its peak with a small, fluffy mixed breed named Higgins. Found at the Burbank Animal Shelter as a puppy, Higgins was described by legendary trainer Frank Inn as the smartest dog he ever worked with. While he spent the 60s honing his craft in short roles, his true legendary status came in 1974 when he came out of retirement at age 14 to star in Benji. Director Joe Camp had to form his own distribution company because major studios rejected the dog picture idea. It was a gamble that paid off. Benji grossed $45 million and became the 3rd highest grossing film of the year. But the film's greatest legacy wasn't financial. When the public learned their new favourite movie star was a rescued shelter mutt, it triggered over 1 million additional animal adoptions across the US in what experts call the Benji effect. Higgins proved that an unwanted stray could become a global icon, even spawning a dynasty where his daughter, Benjean, took over the role for sequels like For the Love of Benji in 1977. As we moved into the 1980s, the loyal companion trope took a darker, more intense turn. In 1983, Hollywood explored the terrifying side of the St. Bernard breed with Cujo. Trainer Cole Lewis Miller utilised 5 different dogs to portray the rabid beast. Interestingly, Miller specifically chose St. Bernards to show his range as a trainer, though he later trained another St. Bernard, Chris, for the much friendlier 1992 film Beethoven to repair the breed's reputation. The decade closed with the rise of the buddy cop dog movie. In 1989 we saw 2 major entries, K9 and Turner and Hooch. For K9, the production flew to West Germany and spent $10,000 on a litter of German Shepherds, eventually casting a dog named Rando as Jerry Lee. Rando was a prodigy, capable of performing between 125 and 150 distinct physical actions, more than 10 times the commands of the average trained dog. Meanwhile, Beasley, a French Mastiff, starred along Tom Hanks in Turner and Hooch. Beasley was so valuable that the production built an exact lifelike physical replica of him for the character's tragic final scene to ensure that the real dog was never under any stress. How do you make a happy dog look like a rabid monster or a professional detective? Sometimes the secrets are hilariously simple. On the set of Cujo, the St. Bernards were having so much fun playing fetch with the actors that their tails wouldn't stop wagging during the scary scenes. The crew actually had to tie their tails down with fishing line to keep them from looking too happy to be attacking. When they couldn't get the dogs to look scary though, they even brought in a Rottweiler as a visual double for the most intense attack sequences. Trainers would also use toy drive to create action. To make a dog look like it was attacking a car, they would simply throw the dog's favourite toy into the vehicle. In the film Greyfire's Bobby in 1961, Walt Disney was so protective of the lead acting dog that he gifted the dog to a local police constable on the strict condition that it could only be shown publicly for charitable causes. From the $3 rescue dog Spike to the smart as a human Higgins, the movies made between 1950 and 1985 transformed our relationship with canine stars. They weren't just props, they were emotional mirrors that reflected our own human experiences of loyalty, fear and redemption. Whether they were breaking our hearts or making us jump in our seats, these dogs prove that you don't need a pedigree to be a legend. If you enjoyed this trip through Hollywood history, hit that like button and subscribe. And let us know in the comments, will you? Which dog's movie story made you cry the most? Was it Old Yeller, or did Benji's journey hit home? Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.